question on the $933 million. What's the timeline for the slots to be at the racetracks and to have that money circulated?
We would hope very soon. We are suggesting a $65 million licensing fee for each of the 7 tracks. Those licensing fees would be paid over a period of time in 4 installments during the budget period. And we believe that this is not a complex set of activities to implement, and that it can be done rather quickly. Our estimates are based upon what we believe to be realistic timetables for implementation. Yes, sir.
Could legislative approval be controlling board versus statute, or does it have to be in bill?
My understanding of Ohio law is that there must be statutory authority given to me.
Governor, in your opening statement, you said video lottery terminals are better than a tax hike. You thought tax hikes were off the table. Is there some reason why you refer to that? Is a tax hike still off the table?
Yes, I think they're off the table, but I have said to the Senate, if my VLT proposal is not acceptable, the only other courses of action that I can see would be further cuts or new revenue. And so I've made my choice, and I would expect them to tell me what their choice is if they continue to say my suggestion is unacceptable.
Governor, in the last few days there have been some very critical editorials of you saying you're not being the leader they expected or that people voted for, just saying basically you haven't been a leader on the budget issue. What do you say to those folks?
Well, editorials can say what they choose to say. And sometimes I get a little angry, but it doesn't last very long. And so I'm not feeling particularly angry right now.
What about to the point they make?
Sure. I'll answer that. I was asked, quite frankly, through many editorials, as the conference was ready to get underway, to show leadership and to come forth with a plan. I was also asked by Senator Harris to do that. He asked me numerous times, Governor, we need plug-in numbers. And I took that to mean, basically, a new budget or a new framework, certainly. And so I did something that is unprecedented. And many of you have been around here longer than I have. I don't know if you've ever seen a governor in the midst of a conference period submit what amounted to a completely new budget framework. I did that because I felt like that was what I should do as governor and to show leadership. So I have put forth this framework. I wasn't required to do so. If you look at the Ohio Constitution, it very clearly says it is the legislature that has the responsibility to present a balanced budget. But nevertheless, I'm the governor. I accept that responsibility and that mantle of leadership, and so I did it. So those who say I haven't shown leadership apparently do not agree with the leadership that I've shown or the decisions I've made. But I have made decisions. I have owned the VLT issue. Some people say I'm looking for cover. Let me say to you as clearly as I can say it. I own that issue. And I realize that it is very likely to be an accusation in some future political campaign. I don't know what else I could have done to show leadership other than what I've done, except perhaps do what the writers of the editorial opinions want me to do. And that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to look at the circumstances of this state, look at the options before me, and then make a choice, and make that choice publicly known and to own that or those decisions. That's what I think I've done. That's what I think a leader needs to do.
Governor, if it turns out that VLTs just are not going to happen,
Forth a second budget. I put forth my best choice. And I think it's reasonable to ask my legislative colleagues, if they don't agree with what I've suggested, to tell me what they would like to suggest. I think that's fair and reasonable. That's all I'm asking. I've owned my decisions. I've trumpeted them in front of you and others. I've done that because I think I have a responsibility to do that. But I also think it's a shared responsibility, and my colleagues in the legislature have an equal responsibility to do the same. Thus far, they have not done that.
how do you plan on spending the 4th of July?
I probably will be right here if this budget impasse continues.
So you watch
I think-
fireworks for community savings?
I think, I may step out and watch part of Red, White, and Boom, but as I've said, getting this budget completed is more important than political parades or hot dogs at barbecues. Yes, sir, Jeff.
At least one of these racetracks
I'm sorry?
one of the racetracks is bankrupt. At least 4 others are financially in dire straits. One of them is located on, Lebanon, is located on the county fairgrounds, where it's dubious that it can expand.
Yes.
Has your staff told you how these racetracks are going to come $65 million apiece?
We've certainly been in discussions with them, and we feel confident that this proposal will result in them getting the financing they need. But I emphasize that is another reason why legislative action is necessary here, because without that, it could be much more difficult for them to get the kind of financing needed.
I just wanted to make sure, we got this from your own words, but did you at any time tell Senator Harris this could be done without legislative action?
No. And I invite you to reread the press conference statement, the long press conference statement I made to you on the day in question, where I specifically indicate that legislative action is needed.
Governor, if the full casino plan were approved by voters this fall, what kind of impact do you think that would have on the slot machine VLT revenue?
I don't know that for sure. I mean, that is difficult to determine. It is my hope that the casino issue will not pass, that we will not have casinos established in areas where gambling does not already occur.
You don't think that full, table games, blackjacks, I assume slot machines would come with these full casinos, that would be competition and would drive down those revenue numbers?
It would be competition, but if the casinos came, there would be other revenue coming into the state that would compensate for the lost revenue that would be experienced by the racetracks. Is that it? Thank you all for coming.